Welcome back, everybody, here to another episode of Gregtech Community Edition Modern. Back here in my little bedroom I made behind the portal. It's kind of a secret room, but not really. It was like a waterfall-esque type deals. But last time, we got ourselves a couple things going and tried to get something we couldn't do before. So, I know we got our applied energistics setup started. I did polish out a bunch more of these just 1K drives, because I don't plan on storing anything massive in there yet. I did pipe up some power so we can run power directly up here, especially since I'm probably going to do like a machine layout for the patterns for that stuff up here, and move this stuff slowly upstairs. But for now, we actually have to get stuff set up so that we can use the applied energistic system. So that does require a lot of details. So our very first thing we're going to need is we need to make these other circuit types really quick. So let's grab all of our stuff out for those. I don't need the two, I just need that. Okay. So now I believe if we just come back over here, I guess we need to empty this out. Put those away. We can put our gold, our silicone, that, and that will start making those. And then that's the other stuff that we need for those too. So our gold logic circuits with a silicone printed circuit, a single LV circuit, a resistor, and 2 fine wire makes the 4 of the logic circuits. And to get our calculation circuit, we just need to replace that gold logic board with a printed calculation circuit, which is a Certus quartz plate. So remember, when pressing anything in your form press, you do require to have the plate form of it. You want to flip this back on, make sure that's running in the meantime. I keep processing more and more stainless steel since we've gotten into that age now. Got a bunch in there, just going away. But with getting a system like this up and running, this will actually increase our output of a lot of things way faster, as we can start getting into points where we'll be auto-crafting. So now that we've got that, we do need 2 other blocks before we can really do anything else. And we need an energy acceptor, which requires these Fluix plates, which you just really need to use your compressor to make that with the Fluix dust. So there's our energy acceptor, and we want a energy cell. It says we don't have... Oh, we need the vibrant glass, not the quartz glass. So to make our vibrant glass, we need 2 glowstone dust with it. I didn't realize that was a recipe we had to do, but that's actually kind of good to note. So 2 glowstone dust with our quartz glass, and we will get our vibrant glass, which will give us that battery cell. Now, to make the next versions of the battery cell, you need multiple of the battery cell. So if I just use you on that, I guess you need it. Oh, that's for the portable cells. But to make a dense energy cell, you need 8 of them to compress it down. But we're not going to be needing that currently, as our system won't be running tons of crafts right away. Won't be doing as much to need that much. So we will get our energy acceptor, and we will get a power cell. And I think... Yep, so that will start producing power. You'll notice we now have online drives. So that will power that up and store energy for our drive base. Now the problem is we need to get into accessing those drive bays. So right up here I've got some stuff that we need to make a way to access it, which will also grab out our engineering, not golden, but engineering circuits. And we need to come over here, and I believe we need the soft mallet, and wire cutters. So let's grab the soft mallet and wire cutters out. I didn't want to do the other recipe as I see it a little bit more complicated and unnecessary at the moment, but maybe if we start needing to make a whole lot more, we can do that. Do we not have enough stuff? Oh, you need vibrant for it, again, so let's go ahead and go make another set of the vibrant stuff. Put these away. If I have a spot, I don't. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Put those blocks away right there for now. And get our other vibrant glass, once again, really kind of like looked at it and just went, oh, that looks like quartz glass. So, something to keep in mind. Now, we're definitely not going to use all 4, but we can use those 2. So, the reason I wanted 2 is that we're going to need 2 things. We need a crafting terminal, and we are going to need a pattern encoding terminal. Before we get into the pattern encoding terminal, we need to start these blank patterns up. So I'm only going to make 2 of them right now, as we're going to do some more stuff in a little bit. And that is in the assembler. It must be at least an MV, though. So come over to our MV assembler, pull those out, and we will go with there. We're missing steel plates. Because we need 4 more steel plates. I don't know what those went to. But let's go get those steel plates made up in a flash. And so put the steel plates, the polyethylene, the good circuits, which we only need 2, and those. And those will make our 2 patterns. And the number of patterns that you get, blank patterns that you get, if I look at the recipe, correlates to your level of plastics. So polyethylene yields 1, polyvinyl chloride. I should have done that because I have those sheets. I didn't realize it was polyvinyl chloride. That's frustrating. Well, I know for next time. But polyvinyl chloride yields 2. Polytetrafluoroethylene yields 16, and your polybenzimidazole, okay, polybenzimidazole, actually got that pretty close, yields 64. This one, however, must be in an HV as well as your polytetrafluorine, whereas this one will be able to be done in your NV machine. We actually are able to get this pretty close because we did the benzene route of fluid, which means if we switch over to oil for power, the benzene could be then used to make better versions of plastics pretty soon. But with both of those, we can pull out this. Now, where are we doing? We got the pattern. Oh, I think I needed a crafting terminal for the the crafting bench for the crafting terminal. And then I think it's a screwdriver. So now we go over here, encoding terminal. We are missing the ME terminal, which does require a screwdriver, so we'll do that one first. 1, 2. So now we have a way to access our systems, putting things in and pulling them out. However, neither of those are going to be extremely helpful. We want this pattern encoding terminal, so there's 1, and the crafting terminal for the second thing that we want. Now that looks like it got a couple of quests done, so let's see what that finished. Was it in here? We got the steel alloys, we got the Moore's Law. That must be... Is it all the way back in LV? I know we got this one. Ooh, a free storage cell. We'll take that. Is that a tips and tricks? No. Kind of at a loss at where those quests got completed. Unless it's something that doesn't yield anything and I'm missing it because that doesn't have like a little exclamation point. I know we got the patterns there. Patterns. Amps. Just got the digital thing there, yeah. Again, definitely not sure where in this whole process it's supposed to be at. But not that it matters very much. Maybe it's an AE2 thing to begin with, which if that's the case, then I'm just wasting my time looking around. But I wanted to place this terminal right here. I am a little bit sad because I thought I could place these cover facades over top of it, but you can't. So I gotta find out what it was applied. Do we have like a cover? No. Do we have a facade? No. That was one thing I found a little bit frustrating as I was looking through here, is I want something to cover it up so you don't have to like see it or any of that. But it appears they don't have any of that in this mod pack, for the most part that I could tell. If you guys know what I would be looking for, please let me know. But now we can actually access items in that terminal. We can come pop in the last new drive that I got. And I do want the pattern generation one to be over in this room here. So that will let me actually look at creating a pattern using one of these pattern sheets. And I believe to make the pattern provider, which is what we need to make, we don't need any of these, so I can leave that in there to encode stuff in the future. So let's look at what we need for the ME pattern provider. I have a conveyor belt, the crafting benches, and the aluminum plates made up, but we need to make these formation and destruction cores, which respectively require one of these each, as well as one of these, and either a Certus quartz or a nether quartz dust. And I'm doing the MV, as I know I can do that one pretty easily, and it will yield us 2 of the pattern providers, which no, it's not. It is that. So there's our formation core. I think it's that for the destruction. Nope, another gold one. So there's our destruction core, or annihilation core. Either way, kind of means the same thing. But we've got 2 of our pattern providers, and now we can interchangeably change them back and forth between the flat version that has a face that it attaches to, or the square version that attaches to all faces that it's attached to. There is more to this. As of right now, I'm going to go ahead and just hold them aside for now, because these are something that I'm going to probably produce a full setup so we can show off how it works before I actually do anything with it. As I'm going to want to move some of these machines upstairs. I can show a quick pattern starting to get closer to making things automatically so that we don't have to worry about what we're doing. But if I come in here and I say, wonder if I can do this, let's see. Steel, and I say if I take a piece of regular steel, I get out 2 steel I don't want this processing patterns. There we go. So you got to switch to processing patterns. I'm trying to figure this out because of the new stuff in here. But we don't want to click that. We want to take steel rod 1 and put 2 of them. Nope. do I... Hmm. Let's go see if when I do it, actually... if I gotta grab 2 steel rods. I want to get motors, specifically MV motors, we'll start with, as that's going to be the one I can more readily produce. Get the 2 of those. And we can put those in here. There we go. And then if I encode that pattern, that will now say that if I put 1 steel ingot in whatever this pattern provider tells it to, it will make 2 steel rods. So we're not going to do it now because, like I said, I got to move the machines around. But if we move our advanced extruder up there with the extruder mold inside of it, it will know that to make 2 steel rods, we can put this pattern, shove a steel ingot in there, and it will produce that. So that is what we wanted for that to work properly. Now, one of the things that making all of this stuff has kind of done is it's kind of eaten through resources pretty harshly. So for now, we're going to set some of these resources aside to be able to work on another thing that will help make that a little bit less harsh on us. And hopefully make it much easier in the long run, as it will consume way fewer resources and get us to where producing HV equipment is going to be much smoother as well. And that was the other thing I said that we would start last episode, which is our advanced circuit assembler. Wanted to make this because we have everything to start making microprocessors, except for this assembler. So we're going to place it down on the ground here. Let's get ourselves a bunch of these empty fluid cells to go grab all of our soldering alloy out of here. As while we can still use this, the power it's going to use is going to be less, as well as it's going to be far slower. I don't think I need anything out of here at the moment, but if we come over, put our soldering alloy in, and grab out all of the different parts, this will make us our microchip processor. If we put all of these components in here, and that will give us 2 crafts, which should give us a total of 3, I believe, apiece for this first set. Yes, 3. So we'll get 6 microprocessing trips out of this recipe, which increases our productivity quite a bit, on top of the fact that if we go and look at the recipe difference, it ends up being quite dramatically different. I did end up making a few inductors, as they're simply steel rings and annealed copper wire with a little bit of polyethylene. So we actually can get all the way up to the better MV circuits, or HV circuits, if I can still craft them in this mid-range, or yeah, mid-voltage one. But looking at the recipe for this, we have 2, 2, 2, and 2. Whereas if we go back to our other ones right up here, it's 2. I guess it is about the same there. But we have to make these bolts. And you do get better crafts out of these as you kind of move up. So we get 8 for this, which means 1 craft of this can make 4 crafts of that. So that's going to make our stuff quite a bit more efficient, as we're using partial bits of ingots to make each thing instead now. Now if we grab out our next batch of stuff, we can pop those in there with our microchip circuits, and we can make... Is that right? That's probably wrong, isn't it? 8, 4, 4, and 4. Are we not able to make that because of tier? Are we missing something in here? Oh, we don't even need the circuit things. That's actually crazy. I didn't realize that. That makes that even more strong than I thought it was. And way more efficient because we're not eating previous tier until we get to the HV. So now I can make low tiers that and medium tiers that don't eat the medium tiers that don't eat the previous tier, which is really nice. I didn't realize that. So that's something I didn't pay attention to in the recipes once again. That's why you want to make sure you're reading your recipes. However, you do need these ones to make the high voltage ones. Let's go ahead and get that unlock though. Say that we made our better circuits, and now we can make our top tier ones, I believe. Can still make it in MB. We don't need anything special. So let's go ahead and put those microprocessor chips in along with the last components needed to make the higher tier HV circuits, which again are a little bit more efficient as it's easier to make the microprocessor. The only difficult part is going to be making sure we have enough iron chloride or sodium persulfate to continue to make these boards, as I remember that one being the bigger problem I had when I was trying to continue making more of these chips at the get-go. But I'm sure if I take a deeper dive into it, which I'll probably do, and I'll run a video on how to automate a better process of making sure that's all able to get manufactured, so that you can make these circuits and those circuit boards at a much more ready pace. I think that's just about all I got for now. But let's go ahead and take a look at where this actually leads us with getting stuff like that. And I guess we need to pull out those polyvinyl chloride sheets, which I don't actually have any sheets right now. Let's make one of those into a sheet really quick. Not foil, plate. Just to make sure that it recognizes that we got that. And there is that. Okay. So it looks like with all of this left, we just have to get into some auto crafting, which because we have a lot of stainless steel, we can get into the auto crafting bit where you make these items here, the molecular assemblers, and we could even just... Ooh. Yeah, I guess we're going to want to make the stainless steel ones out the get-go, because that's where it is. Which means we also need these higher tier conveyor ones. But with these ones, you can start to get into auto-crafting crafting bench recipes through that molecular assembler thing. But how does that leave us over here? We don't have... So I guess we just have the better HV circuits, which leads into making EV circuits. So really all this is going to do is make it a little bit more efficient for us to get through a lot more of these tier things that we've got. What have we got here? When your power generation... So you want high voltage machine holes when your power generation allows for it. HV machines are well worth using for on-demand processing. The quadrupled energy cost compared to their LV counterpart shouldn't bother you too much. Crafting holes in the assembler is slightly more efficient. Prioritize this recipe. Yeah, so I kind of got that. But I didn't realize... I guess that would make sense, is that the jumping to MV from LV doesn't decrease the processing time on a lot of stuff enough to make a huge difference. One thing I can kind of point out with that is we do have a setup back here with 3 extractors. Because if I don't have 3 extractors, these 2 pyrolysine ovens outpace the usage that can actually fill up, even with also filling up this drawer first. So then we end up having a backlog, these machines stop running, we stop getting fuel, and we start running low. we've actually been able to run a surplus long enough that we're almost full in this tank, which means we might need to think about switching over to something like a super tank, like this ethylene thing here. Trying to figure out, is it that we're out of ethylene? Is that what it is? It probably looks like that's what the problem is there. So we'll probably have to revamp this so that we can do more. But we've got tons of ethylene, and so we need more ethanol to make more of it. But I've set up a little automated system that kind of works a little bit better. We've actually gone through all of the ores that I possibly can at this point, and I can really only handle so much more. We can come in and pull out stuff every once in a while, but that's full. We don't have much ore-wise in here, as it does get processed and put into the different chests, whether it's siftable or if it's centrifuge, then it goes into here and does its thing. We don't have a ton of other stuff besides vanadium and potassium phosphate from the tricalcium phosphate dust. So, and yeah, we're getting through a couple more stuff. Looks like we still got a jammed pack over here, and we've got some diamond and stuff over here from me moving it around. I've been kind of wandering straight in that direction over there. Probably have to look around more for more things. Other than that, like, we've been doing pretty good resource-wise. Now it's time to get some stuff hooked up. I probably want to leave this here like that and try to figure out what I can do to make it to where I can move the stuff that I need into the system. Like, I could probably move, like, the battery alloy and stuff. But I don't want to clog it up with a bunch of things I'm not going to be using right now. So, that's one thing I kind of have been keeping in mind. That I don't want things that there's going to be a lot of inside that system, as quite obviously these storage doors are going to be a better option. So, pretty exciting. I don't know what else we can even look at getting done here. Because as we've gotten that done, I really just need to kind of sort out some stuff, chunk a bunch of garbage into the system so that chests can get moved and other stuff can get moved around and decided on positions. So I do think this is going to wrap it up for today. Maybe we'll get rid of this tree farm behind me and try to figure out how to expand the base back further that way. Give us the option of building a larger second floor and start eradicating the greenery around us as we transform this landscape into a factory at a much larger scale than before. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Bye!